Okay, now you know where I'm going. Now I've heard you reference your lady more than once since you've signed on. So I want to know, how do you know, or how did you know that she was for you? Because I already know that she's for you because she's probably finishing your sentences too. So I want to know, how did your lady become your lady?
Bruh.
No, you can't
Bruh.
look to her for help. You got to get through this one by yourself now.
If I can't look to her, can't nobody else help me but Jesus.
You got to get through this one by
That's
yourself.
a it is story time. So we met at where were we? What's the name of that hospital? We met at that wretched place. We met at Cleveland Clinic.
Oh, shout out to Cleveland.
No, no,
I did
Cleveland.
a I did a project there. Trust me, I know what you're talking about.
And we met at Cleveland Clinic. We were both in some tough places, physically and spiritually.
Mhm.
And we connected on uh on the basis of casual sex. And you recording this?
We are
We
recording. Just keep on going.
yeah, we connected off the basis of casual sex, and we started to, to I don't know what drew me to her, man. She was cute, and she has she has good assets. I'll put it like that, and obviously that drew my eye. But my dad raised me a gentleman. What people in the South would call a thug gentleman, but a gentleman nonetheless. So I'm, no talking to women, no sort of kind of way. But obviously, in speaking to her, I'm making my intentions known. She was more or less in agreement. We linked up on that, and it was after that though. My mother is an aggressive woman. She had to be tough because my father wasn't present, so I recognize that. So, but there wasn't as much intimate love as what you would be looking for, and that's a traumatic thing for young men who, like, you don't. I'll put it like this: it was so serious that for about 10 to 15 years, every time that I got an actual hug from my mother, I would break out in tears. It was that serious.
Mhm.
No joke, every single time without fail. So she and I, me and my lady, we did our, boom bam boom, and we would continue talking afterwards though. And she's very easy to talk to. We're interested in the same things, and we would go out together every now and again to just chill, hang out. I'm I was never really a rebellious child to my parents, so it was usually go to work and go home. Spend time with dad, with siblings, watch anime, play video games, what have you. So my outings with her was the first time that I'm really like seeing the area that I live in, going into bookstores. Now she and I have a thing where we go to Barnes and Nobles together. We go and sit in certain sections and read, and so on and so forth. And it was after a while I'm like, this is what love feels like. You feel me? She sees that we're having a salty meal, and she said, "Let me pour you some water."
Mm.
And you a man will tell you when you don't get that much love, and little stuff like that, that sticks with you for the duration of your life. And you feel something like that. It's like, oh no, nobody else is allowed to feel this. This is mine.
Mhm.
Matter matter of fact, baby, you remember when we were talking late that night, and we were talking late that night, and it was after like one of our outings or whatnot. I went home. I'm laying in my bed, and we're on the phone talking about something or other. And then I was like, you know what, Sarah, I'm gonna marry you.
Mm.
And this is before I knew the seriousness of it. I can't remember if she said anything back. I don't recall. But Father God, if that ain't when the trouble started. What I tell you, it was a fight. It was a fight. It was a fight. I'm in a boxing match with Mike Tyson, and I ain't threw a punch in my life type of fight. I'm getting my
Come on.
tail whooped. it was crazy, man. But one of those things though is recognizing that she I won't say completes you, because that's the work of the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
The Lord makes you whole. She fills in those gaps,
Come on.
right?
She
And
carries the trait of a Proverbs 31 woman, it sounds like to me.
yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah. I don't really have too many complaints, man. I mean, nobody's perfect, obviously, but
Right.
the issues are so minuscule. I'm like, eh. I mean,
Good stuff,
like,
man.
right. Like shit. Oh no, she didn't say thank you that one time. You feel me? I mean, there's no disrespect. I mean, at one point there was, and um, I'm not. I had an issue with anger. Never put my hands on a woman. But I had an issue with anger. I had an issue with yelling.
Mhm.
And even to this day, I curse a lot, and we've been working on that. Um, but even when I was yelling and angry at her for whatever she may have done, that made me feel a type of way, because she was also involved with another guy at the time, and I kind of had the argument of like, how you want to be his second, but you don't want to be my first. You feel me? Um, but yeah, even through all of that, I would never. I raised my voice at her, but I would never call her out her name. I would never, I love her. I love her to death. But yeah, man, I don't know, man. I can tell you, my dad definitely saw the change, and my dad is my ace. Like he knows me better than I know myself. I tell what I won't tell nobody else in the world. The things I tell Jesus, I tell my dad, and it's gotten to the point where it's like he'll be like, "Oh, I'm surprised you ain't got the phone to your ear." And when I'm talking and he tells me something, it's like, "Oh, yeah, I already know you're gonna go back and tell Sarah." You feel me? Me and her be on the phone for 8, 12, 16 hours consistently. This is daily, dog. We've been together. We've been like I said, it's been rocky. It's been off and on. But every time we come back together, it's stronger than before. It's consistently every single day, 8-hour, 9-hour conversations, man. This
Yeah,
is
it
and
sounds to
I
me like God
Awesome.
is elevating your relationship. Each time you come back, He elevates you to the next
Yeah.
level, and that's a good thing.
yeah. The it seems like I first and foremost I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. I feel like there's a desire to be better for each other,
Hmm.
and there's a recognition of the hierarchy spiritually, me
Right.
submitting to the Lord Jesus, her submitting to me, even in this phase of
Oh, you
courting,
said
because
it
we're
right.
seeking to get married.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And that's part of the thing was not only her learning how to submit, but me learning how to lead.
Right.
um Thankfully, I kind of got a jump start in that area, because even though my mom was single for most of my adolescence, when her and my dad got married, my stepdad, but my dad, no one could tell me otherwise. Um, I watched what he did.
Right.
I paid attention to how he spoke. He's Miami hood, but he knows how to turn it off.
Right.
And I thankfully I've never gravitated to any of the evils that you would see the street do to a young man. And yeah, I learned how to deal with women, with your own woman, because there's definitely a difference. What your
Right.
woman at home gets is not the same thing that a woman outside gets. They both are deserving of respect, but the woman at home gets your amenities. She gets that extra. That there's of that 100%, she get that extra 10%. That bend over backwards.
Hmm.
You feel me? And I'm built on that. So it wasn't as difficult for me to be willing to learn and sacrifice. I jumped at the opportunity. Um, Sarah, it was a little bit tougher for her to be willing to let me lead.
Hmm.
We did couples therapy, man, and there are levels for for like a relationship to see how well a relationship will do, where we were one level below perfect. We saw eye to eye on doctrine, on how we wanted to raise our children, on how we saw each other. We were one level below perfect, and I can't remember what the discrepancy was, but it was so minuscule that it really didn't mean much.
Mhm.
But yeah, man, I love her. I love her to death. Wouldn't dare let her go.
Now, they say that your mother and is always is your actually she's your mom and you love her to death. And I'm sure everybody on here, Birdie, Orlando, and yourself are mama's boys. And so whenever you go and you fall for that first woman, she always has the first a lot of qualities like your mom. So would you say that Sarah has qualities like your mom? Sometimes you might not even see it, but maybe one day she'll do something and say, "Oh my God, I married my mother."
I've made
I married my
comments like
mother.
that. She does have
Yeah.
qualities like my mother.
Hmm.
Um, but I think it's the things that make her unlike my mother that keep me around, so to speak.
Right. Right. Right.
Um, because my mom was raised by a single parent as well, but she was raised by my grandfather, who was like, my mom is the first generation to come from Jamaica to live here. My
Mhm.
grandfather is like full-blooded, accent thicker than cornmeal porridge. You know what I'm saying? It took me
Mhm.
years to understand what he was saying. So my mother is tough as tough can be. So she was tough with her children.
Right.
And she had 3 kids, and all of us received that differently. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And
Which is normal.
right.
Mhm.
The children can end up picking up different traits despite the fact they were all raised in the same household. We saw
Exactly.
what happened with Cain and Abel.
Right.
Um, that being the case, how I reacted was an intense seeking of, I won't even call it intense, because I, I don't even know how to put it, man. The absence of my father made me kind of numb to a lot of things.
Mhm.
So I had a big thing with, if I can't do anything about it, I'm going to leave it alone, which to a certain degree can be good for you. The Lord asks, um, how much is worrying going to do for you? Which of you can increase your stature by 1 cubit by worrying?
Mhm.
And it's true. So the things that I can't control, I had already built up a habit in, okay, what is this? Can I do anything about it? No, then let it go, whatever. But that also starts to kind of take the fight out of you whenever you see something's like you possibly can change it, but you already write it off as it doesn't matter. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Um, however, in I won't say separating from my mother, because it's not like we separated. Um, but in finding a woman whom I had that kind of affection and infatuation for, it it kind of brought out of me something that was very uncomfortable. And in order to grow, you have to be uncomfortable, right?
Right.
It made
Exactly.
me it made me seek out different ways to do things, different ways to saying things. It made me change in a way where like where you're no longer the focus. And
Mm.
I was never really one for only thinking about myself in the first place. But now I have to consider her feelings when I say something. I have to consider, how she might react. And sometimes it can feel like it's bordering on manipulation. You know what I'm saying? I want her to react this way, so I have to say things this way to get that reaction out of her. Mind you, me being her head, the head has to know what he wants the body to do. You feel me?
Mhm.
So